Welcome, everyone, to episode 6 of the Roll Stable podcast. We're back after a short break, and we have another great show lined up for you today. Just a reminder, you can find the first 5 episodes of the Roll Stable podcast online at ucmathletics.com/podcasts. You can also listen in our UCM Athletics mobile app and watch the Roll Stable video podcast on the UCM YouTube page. Before we get to today's guests, let's have a rundown of what's happening around the Mules and Jennies. We'll start on the football field, where unfortunately both Mules scrimmages at home against Washburn and on the road at Northwest Missouri have been canceled, with the Ichabods and Bearcats experiencing positive COVID-19 cases. Those games will not be made up. With Mules and Jennies basketball right around the corner, the MIAA released their preseason coaches polls. The defending regular season and conference tournament champion Jennies were picked 3rd, and the Mules were picked to finish 11th. The season gets underway for both teams next Saturday, November 21st in Jefferson City against Lincoln. UCM is home on Tuesday, November 24th against Missouri Southern, and Saturday, November 28th against Pittsburgh State. And speaking of Mules basketball, Mules recently announced the hiring of a new assistant coach, Adam Short. Short was most recently an assistant coach at State Fair Community College. Head coach Doug Kralskin called Short a tremendous addition to the program, someone who's going to bring a lot of energy and passion. Mules baseball recently announced the 2021 Diamond Club inductees. Entering the Diamond Club this year will be former head coach Tom Myers and former players Steve Lubert and Kevin Prenger. Myers was the coach from 2008 to 2014 and led the Mules to 6 NCAA appearances, winning 311 games. Lubert played from 1973 to 76 and was a 2-time All-American. Prenger played from 1979 to 1982 and was the first Mule to ever be a 3-time All-MIAA first-team selection. He was also an All-American and the first Mule with more than 100 career runs and 100 career RBIs. And that will take us to today's interview. It's only episode 6, but we are already talking with our second national champion from Leawood, Kansas, Jennies Soccer midfielder, Frankie Ross. Frankie, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, welcome.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing good. It's a little rainy out today.
I know it is. It's a little bit of a bummer.
Weather is definitely changing a little bit, getting into kind of winter weather. How is that going to affect you guys? When is soccer going to be finishing up with practice?
So we finish next Friday the 20th. We won't train over Thanksgiving or when we get back just because of finals and stuff. So we're wrapping up our fall training sessions and going to get ready for the spring.
Now, it's hard to believe that it's over already. I know you didn't play a game, and that's,
I know.
We'll get to that in a little bit. But I want to start off talking about UCM's soccer's reputation. I think we're at the point now where soccer is really kind of a national brand for the Jennies with how good they've been recently. What can you say about that?
I think I'm really proud to be part of this organization and coming in as a freshman. And even when I was being recruited in high school, I don't even think I really fully understood it until my freshman year when we came in and won a national championship. It was an amazing experience. And then from then, obviously, that is kind of translated into the rest of my years here. And without winning that national championship my freshman year, I don't think I would have ever really understood what our team in this program has the potential of being. And we always want to be a contender in that top 5 of the country. We're always thinking about, like, what are other teams doing today? What are the Grand Valleys of the world and the Western Washingtons of the world doing today? And what can we do to be consistently competing with them, even if it's 1 hour of training out at our South Rec Stadium? So just
kind of what can we do every day to get better? Like, is that a kind of a philosophy?
Yes,
Coach
absolutely. Absolutely, without a doubt. He's always just, we want to improve every single day, and whether it's little or whether it's big steps, he just preaches, like, let's get better every single day. This is an opportunity to get better, and I think that we try to implement that in the best ways we can.
What can you say about Coach Theobald that makes him such a great coach?
I think the standards that he holds us to every single day, like I was just saying, like, not only little steps of improvement or big steps of improvement, but he's consistently holding us to a standard. And if the standard isn't there that day, he'll bring us in, try to calm us down, maybe tell us to take a little lap around the field, and then kind of reassess. I know a couple weeks ago, actually, we were doing that. We weren't ready. We didn't start strong at the beginning of practice, and he allowed us to kind of jog around the field and reassess and start training again, and it got a lot better. But he just, we don't have all the time in the world, so let's make it quality and let's make it good. And he holds us to a really high standard, and without that driving force, then we wouldn't be as good as we are.
What is it like playing for someone like Lewis, who's I think could be a Division I coach somewhere, whether it's with men or women. And I know he also has a hockey background. He could probably coach hockey. So what is it like playing for someone like him?
It is difficult. Like, I don't want it to sound like it's like a walk in the park all the time. It is definitely difficult, but I think it's rewarding. I never really go into training thinking like, oh, today's going to be an easy day. Like, it's consistently going to be a difficult day, and I'm going to get better that day, and I respect him a lot for that. And he's pulled me out of my comfort zone more times than I can count, but I can also say that I've grown in those moments, and I'm really thankful because of it.
So you mentioned at the start you were a freshman on that 2017 National Championship team, and you played a lot of minutes on that team. It's not like you had like a redshirt year. You started about half the games. What was it like playing for that team and being a part of a national championship?
I think it's just unreal. Even, almost 3 years later, I still don't have words to describe that day. And I can honestly say I almost remember every single minute of it. But leading up to that day, there was obviously a lot that went into it that a lot of people didn't see. And some of those players, specifically that senior class, they were just really great example setters and standard holders to what Lewis wanted us to do and what he wanted us to execute. And I was always really intimidated of those girls, but every time I look back, I think about like Taylor Thompson. She was such a role model for me during that time. Like, when I did step into the starting lineup, she was so supportive of me in that role and in those moments. And I had so many other people to look up to. Like, there's not a lot of times people get to say they played with multiple All-Americans, and at the same time, they're your good friends or your best friends, and you want to be around those people. I think that without that senior class, I wouldn't be who I am or the player that I am today. Like, a lot of the things that I think about going to practice every single day are things that I think about them, and I think about, like, what would it be like if they were here today? What would it be? How would these underclassmen be responding if Abby Rhodes or Anna Dilks or Kayla Hamner were telling them what to do? So definitely think about them a lot. You
are now the longest tenured Jennie on the roster. You're the only one left from the national championship team.
Yeah.
I assume that you're taking on a bigger leadership role now versus what we were just saying in 2017. So kind of talk about your leadership style, maybe what you learned from those girls in 2017.
I think that there were 8 of them, so all of them set different examples. Some of them were obviously vocal leaders. Some of them were a little bit quieter, but they obviously still grinded, and that never went unnoticed. And so I think personally right now I'm trying to find a balance of how can I perform and hold people to a standard. So if I'm not having my best day, is it fair for me to be getting on somebody else about the standards that we have here at UCM? Or in that day, do I need to look inward and then have somebody else lead me? So as the only senior and as, like you just said, the only person left on the team from that 2017 National Championship team, I'm really just trying to understand when it is my time to lead and when it also is other people's times to lead. Like, we've had a lot of girls, sophomore girls, I feel like, step up and kind of lead. That a lot of them had experience last year, and that's really showing right now too.
Sure, it's a very young team. There was a large freshman class for 2019. This was another large freshman class.
And there's another one coming in the fall.
There's going to be another one. Yeah, it doesn't stop. Going back to 2017, was there anyone in particular? I think you said there were 8 seniors on that team. Anyone that kind of took you under their wing? Anyone that specifically that kind of mentored you?
Yeah, I would say there were more than one. I feel like at all parts of the season they kind of stepped in and helped me. But like I mentioned, Taylor Thompson played a big role in helping me, and Kayla Hamner was also someone that really made me just love soccer. I feel like her love for soccer was something that was contagious. And Anna Dilks, you watch Anna just being the competitive person that she is, and that was inspiring too. And there were times that she needed to get on me, and she did, and that made me better.
What can you say has changed about Jennies Soccer from 2017 to 2020?
Honestly, I think that's a hard question. Obviously, I think the noticeable difference would just be the players. It's not the same. We don't have the same exact players. We don't have the same exact team. But I don't feel like the standards. I don't feel like our goals. I don't feel like our, I don't know, everyday practices have changed. Like, Lewis does a really good job of recruiting players that A, love soccer, B, want to be here, and C, work hard to be here. And if that changes, it'll be harder to like adapt as a program. But I think that's something that hasn't changed, and because that hasn't changed, we've still had a lot of success.
And you've only been able to practice in 2020. Unfortunately, you didn't have a season.
Right.
Spring ball, we don't know quite what that's going to look like
Yeah.
just yet. You personally are kind of on this routine of playing one year, not playing one year, because you had an injury in 2018. Can you talk about missing 2018, now missing 2020? How hard has that been for you, and maybe the differences and challenges between the two?
So I think 2018, when I was injured, I had torn my ACL and was recovering that year. As a sophomore, I learned a lot, I guess. That gave my freshman year, I felt like I was gaining so much information about the style of play and about the program that I was almost overwhelmed at times. And then my sophomore year allowed me time to kind of step back from those situations and really learn about our program and learn about the style that we want to play and learn how to execute that. I feel like that's kind of what's happening right now, too, in a weird way. Obviously, we haven't been able to watch soccer. Well, we can now, but when we were in quarantine, we weren't able to. But it's allowed me time to kind of like step back and reassess the just like who I want to be and how I want to lead and how I want to play, and also kind of train in different ways. I know, like in quarantine, I wasn't always out there running or doing, I was trying to get active in other ways, and that was kind of a nice thing as a collegiate athlete, doing something every single day, just doing something different.
So you can kind of say that your freshman year, 2017, it was really just trial by fire. You're out there, you're playing, that's how you're learning.
Absolutely.
And then you have that second year, you're not playing, and it's you're learning kind of by watching, taking more of a full field type focus.
And even last year, I would say that I had a different experience in my freshman year. Like you mentioned, my freshman year, I was kind of in and out of the lineup, and last year I wasn't. I came off the bench, and that was a difficult transition for me at first, but I think I tried to figure that out and find my role within that. We had really great players on the field all the time, and that's just part of being in this program. And so even now I'm trying to reassess about and really evaluate what kind of player I want to be, and if we get games in the spring and then obviously next fall too. So I think it's just given me time to, I guess, step back and decide what I want to be and who I want to be. But I will also talk about, like, speaking on learning, I feel like being in this program for 4 years now, I'm still learning a lot about the game, which is something that I didn't really think would be a thing. Like, when I was getting recruited in high school, I figured, when I'm a senior in college, like, I'll know this thing.
Everything.
Right. And I still don't. And I think that's something that I really enjoy about playing for Lewis is he's a really soccer intelligent coach. He's really intelligent about the game, and I'm consistently learning from him and about the game because of him, and I think that's really special.
And are there also maybe some new players that have come on the team that you're also learning from?
Yes, absolutely. There's some really great competition in the freshman class, and they're all really great players, and just kind of seeing them develop even over this course of the last couple months has been really rewarding. And as someone that has been here a little bit longer, I'm able to lead them a little bit more because I do understand the concepts that we're learning in practice a little bit more. So
you've been practicing for
since
maybe 6 to 8 weeks?
We started Tuesday, August 17th. So we started, I think we were one of the first sports that started. We took that we had a meeting Sunday night, we took the first day of school off, and we started on the second day of school.
what can we? So it's been about 2 months. What can we kind of expect the next time Jennies Soccer takes the field?
I think excitement. Like, I think all of us are just so excited to get back on the field. But I think a lot of competition too. Like, we're learning a lot of the concepts and style of how we want to play, but I think every day we're coming out with a lot of energy and a lot of competition. And so I think we're just really excited to be on our home field and that new pretty grass and all that jazzy stuff. So I'm excited about that.
Just a chance to play
Be
someone
out
that
there.
doesn't say UCM on the front of their jersey.
Yeah, we last Thursday. So we've been scrimmaging like every Friday, and we're kind of trying to replicate, game day.
Yeah.
But last Thursday we got to wear uniforms for the first day in a scrimmage, and I feel like even that just made it a little more competitive.
A little more
I
jazz.
remember, yeah, my team of 7 ended up losing that game. And I remember walking off the field, I was mad.
Man, you felt like you lost the game.
Yeah. So I'm like, wow, this jersey does a lot more than I thought it would.
So what can you say about kind of the COVID timeline from back in March to, school's getting canceled, and
Yeah.
I guess you're not really thinking about soccer
Right.
getting canceled, and summer you're like,
Right.
man, this is getting kind of touch and go right
Yeah.
now, and then fall happens, you're not playing. What can you kind of say about that
So-
timeline and how information was coming in?
I think we did a good job as a team, or I guess our coaching staff did a good job of getting us resources quickly. We had people in the strength room giving us bodyweight workouts. We had Lewis sending us different conditioning and fitness sort of workouts and resources that we could use. Essentially what we did is we broke our I guess you could say we could call that an off season since it was in COVID.
Yeah.
So from March to August, we had 3 6-week periods that he would send us information for. We also try to get on Zoom every now and then and just kind of talk about updates. And he reached out frequently to check on how we were doing. But I think personally, the feeling for me was like, it was like, okay, we would get this sliver of hope, like, we're going to play, this is going to be good, we're going to come back, and it's going to be great. And then it was like, oh, maybe we're not. And then it was like, oh, no, we still might play. And then it was, so for me, that was the difficult thing, just being like, oh my gosh, we're not going to go back and play spring games. And then it was, well, can we do stuff this summer? And then it was like, no, can we do stuff in the fall? And then literally 2 weeks before, it was like, we're not doing stuff in the
and
fall.
you're going to play a half a season, and then now we're not playing any season.
So
You said how much you've learned from Lewis throughout your 4 years. Is there anything you learned about yourself from being in quarantine and not being able to play?
I just think, like, well, first of all, it's really hard to play soccer without other people. I think that was one thing I was like, I'm tired of just taking random touches around the ball in my backyard, you know? Like, so that was one thing for sure. But I feel like I've gained a lot of confidence in my abilities, just knowing that kind of what's thrown at me or whatever obstacles I'm facing in whatever moment, that I can be confident in my abilities to kind of handle that obstacle. And through injury and even through adversity on and off the field, I've definitely noticed that.
Did you pick up any non-soccer or non-athletic hobbies in the last couple months?
No, not really. I really enjoy cooking, so
Okay.
that's something we do that a lot as a family at home, and something that I do here, and that's something I like to do.
What do you like cooking?
I don't even know.
Do you have
I don't
what's
know.
your go-to meal
I
to
feel like
impress somebody?
Just
Tacos?
tacos. I
Regular
just
talk,
love
beef tacos?
I like chicken tacos.
Chicken tacos?
Yep.
Okay.
So that's
That's kind of
nothing
how you
fancy.
filled your days in the summer during
Eating
quarantine?
tacos.
Eating tacos, cooking tacos.
No, but yeah, that would be my fave.
I want to go back to your, I guess, recruitment.
Mm-hmm.
When you were playing high school soccer, did you play other sports? Was
No.
it just soccer?
It was just soccer. So I played 4 years. You mentioned I'm from Leawood, so I went to Blue Valley West, and I played 4 years of soccer there. Loved it. And during my recruiting process was a little bit interesting because I got injured my junior year of high school as well. So as a soccer player, it's kind of like prime recruiting time. And even now it's gotten a lot earlier. But when I was in high school, junior year was like when you're being recruited.
Right.
And so it's kind of interesting. I feel like this is kind of how my story would go. Got injured in November of my junior year. And literally the next day, I had already come on a visit here, was kind of deciding whether or not what I was going to do. So the day after I get injured, I get offered a position to come here, scholarship money to come here. And it took me some time to kind of decide. I told Lewis, like, hey, I just got injured yesterday. And he was like, the offer still stands. So January, it took me a couple months to decide, but January is when I had surgery. And then a couple days after surgery, I decided I was going to commit here. So called him up right after surgery and let him know that I was going to be coming to UCM. And I think for me, it came full circle when I was injured my second time here as a sophomore. Obviously injured again. That was my other knee, by the way. So I've done both my ACLs.
Wow.
Yes. My first one when I was in high school and my second, like I said, sophomore here. And like I said, came full circle for me. I got surgery in September of my sophomore year, and a couple days later, Lewis was at my house checking on me. So it was pretty funny. Like, I thought back on those moments and thought, just a couple years ago, I was calling him to tell him I was coming here, and now a couple days after surgery, he's at my house checking on me. So it was just, for me, that was a full circle moment. Like, this is where I want to be, and I'm really glad I decided to come here.
What kind of went into your decision-making process to choose UCM?
Honestly, I didn't really have a lot of other options, and so I think that was that was it. Like, I was like, I had this opportunity to come here. I had just gotten injured. I was like, if I come back from this injury, I'll be a senior. There's not going to be a lot of opportunity at that point because a lot of rosters are going to be full. So I was like, I'm going to take this opportunity, see how it goes, and if it doesn't work out, so be it. Well, then come in, win a national championship. I'm like, I'm not going anywhere.
Why go anywhere else?
Exactly. Yeah.
When would you say that you kind of fell in love with soccer? Was that always your primary sport?
For sure. Growing up, I did play a lot of other sports, though. I feel like my parents really encouraged me to try it all. Like, you name it, I did it. But I think soccer was always something I was really excited about. And when I first started playing soccer, or I guess competitively, like in club sports, I think for me personally, something that made me really like it is I could see a lot of improvement in myself. Like, I started on lower teams in the club and then slowly got moved up. And I think that was something that was really awesome for me was I'm young and I started off on the bottom team in the age group. And now by whatever, 6th or 7th grade, I'm on the top team. And I really saw a lot of so that was really special for me. And part of the reason I think I loved it so much was because I saw a lot of improvement in myself.
That's good because it's not always hard to see, or it's not always easy, I should say, in soccer to see that quantitative improvement. But when you're going and up levels continuously, then you kind of know, hey, maybe I'm pretty good at this.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you have any other family members, siblings, or parents or anything that were good at athletes that played maybe collegiate sports?
My dad played collegiate baseball, actually. Played at the George Washington University in Washington, D.C.
Wow.
Yeah,
I have a good friend who went to law school there,
really?
Actually. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. But yeah, so he played there. And then I have 2 younger sisters, and I feel like they both, like, my parents encouraged them to play soccer because of me, and it just wasn't it.
You're the oldest?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my 2 younger sisters were just not as excited about soccer as I was, and even my parents were like, just always encouraged them, like, keep playing, it's so fun. Like, and they were like, no, we're not like Frankie, this isn't it.
That's funny because sometimes it's the younger sibling that kind of works with the older sibling and is sometimes the best athlete in the family.
Exactly. Yeah, no, not in this case. I feel like all 3 of my sisters and I are or I guess 2 of my sisters, there's 3 of us total, but we're all really different.
I want to talk a little bit about your future. Short term, you've got 2 years of eligibility left because of this year's COVID and your sophomore redshirt season with the ACL surgery. Do you know yet if you're going to take those 2? What are you kind of thinking right now?
My thought process right now is I will play in the spring because it sounds like we'll get some games, and then I'll play in the fall, and then that'll be it. Just because like I said, that's the plan right now. But just because I won't have any more school, I've started my master's program. So
Okay, so you kind of started your master's program early.
yeah, I started it in August. So
And what program is that?
I'm doing my master's of business administration, so my MBA.
Very good. Wow.
Yeah,
Very
it's kind of
impressive.
scary.
What are your future plans after you finish your MBA?
I have no
Any
idea. None. I feel like, I don't know. It's kind of scary saying that, but yeah, I think I like to say I have time to figure it out, maybe.
Yeah, especially if you're going to be playing again
That's
next
what
fall.
I'm
We
telling
got
myself.
about another
Right.
12 months or so. So are
Yeah.
you going to graduate the next December?
That's kind of what's on the radar right now. We'll see, but I don't really know.
Have you ever thought about maybe your UCM legacy and what you kind
A
of
little bit.
want that to be like when your
Yeah.
playing days are over?
I think that I just want at least my teammates to kind of, I don't want to say remember me like I'm going away, but remember me for just my work ethic and my my attitude. I want them to know that I love being a part of this program, and every single day I'll give my best effort, and I would hope they can see like the passion in me almost every single day. At least I would hope. And I think that that's what I want them, I guess, to think of me as when I'm not here. Like, I don't know, in a year from now, who's going to be sitting in this chair and who are they going to be talking about? And I hope that my name's one of those people that gets tossed around.
And maybe, I guess not next year if you play next year, but the year after that.
I guess, yeah.
It's going to be there on the practice field. Hey, what would Frankie be saying right now if maybe you don't get off to such a good start that day and coach makes you take a lap to kind of clear your head? And it's, hey, what would Frankie be saying to us right now to get us better?
That would mean a lot to me. That would be really special.
So last year you got to see 25 years of Jennies Soccer. Speaking of legacy and history, what did you guys kind of talk about the past of Jennies Soccer and kind of what it's like to play for UCM now and live up to all those great players?
So actually that night, that 25-year anniversary night or that special event, Lewis actually had the coach that was there for that 25, like the first team, I guess, or the coach before Lewis was
the very
here.
first coach that was there.
Yeah, and that was really cool. He came and talked to us after the game and was just talking about what the program was like then, and obviously Lewis was attesting to what it's like now, and just having him come and talk to us was really cool. We occasionally talk about, like, personally, I only know the people that have been here since I've been here, I guess. But I remember my freshman year and my sophomore year, like, people are always constantly in the locker room throwing around other people's names and talking about funny stories. And so, like, I've heard stories about people that were here before even I was, and that's always really special. I think there have been, or I guess not even just stories about people, but I don't even remember who said this, but when I was a freshman, the seniors would always talk about, oh, we get all this gear now, and like when I was here, we didn't get all this, or like talking about, I remember, I think Lewis had said something about when he had first gotten here, there wasn't even a fence around South Rec, and like people were walking their people were walking their dogs on the field before practice would start, and like he was telling us this, and obviously that makes you kind of reassess and be thankful for how far this program has gone, and because of our success, we've gotten a little bit more love and attention, and that's been really, really helpful.
Yeah, that lineage has really, it's just a great line back from 1995 all the way up to 2020, and it just seems to be getting elevated each year.
Which is really special, and I think it's, amazing how we're able to do that. If you think, though, like if we weren't as successful as our program has been in the 4 years that I've been here, or even prior to that, there might not be a fence around South Rec still. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's right. Pretty special. So,
when you win, good things happen. And
exactly.
Getting a fence is one of them. Getting new gear, that's another one.
And those are just pluses, I think. At the end of the day, it's let's play soccer, and everybody that's on the team and that's been here in the past loves soccer and wants to be here.
All right, we're running out of time, and I don't mean to poke fun at you here, Frankie, but I was looking at your stat sheet, and you haven't scored a goal yet in the 2 years that you've played. How are we going to get you on the board?
I am unsure. Maybe I really have no idea. I'm thinking maybe on a set piece at this point. I was saying this earlier. Right now, I've been training at center back, so if I do play center back in my future seasons,
your options are going to be a little limited. Yeah, your
we'll
chances
stop
to score.
the goals from going in. But
and yeah, it's not really your role is to be
right.
A goal scorer, and it wasn't back when you were kind of playing midfield, and now certainly not if you're playing center back.
No, so we'll see what happens. I would love to get involved in attack and score a few. I feel like in practice every now and then I get a few in the back of the net. Yeah. And that's like, this kind of counts, but it's not on my stat sheet. So we'll figure it out.
All right. Well, that's going to be a goal for you for next spring and next fall. Okay. All right, Frankie, we are about out of time here. I'm going to give you the final word. Any closing thoughts?
Not really. I feel like I just want it to be known that I love being a part of this program at Jennies Soccer, and I know that we're doing everything we can every single day to be one of the best teams in the country, and I have faith that we'll get the job done this spring and hopefully next fall too. So
that's awesome. It's always great watching Jennies Soccer.
Yeah.
Where can people follow you at?
Instagram, I am FM Ross, ROSS _ Twitter, Frankie Ross _ and I think that's about it. I'm not on social.
All right,
a ton. Okay. I'm not a ton, I guess, but that's about it.
All right, well, that's going to put a bow on this week's episode. I want to thank Frankie Ross for coming out, producer Tony Manzo, and of course everyone for listening. This has been the Roll Stable Podcast.